Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sovereign Village Project and Community Hour. Today, we're doing something different and special, which is Gabby is completely leading this one today because the topic is, what's the exact title we went with?
We went with marketing your homestead products and services.
Which Gabby is an expert. Gabby has been marketing for a long time. She's a writer, and the world of writing took her into the world of marketing. She writes a lot for marketing companies. Currently works for a book publishing company in Nashville. But she's also been starting to step into this agricultural world, helping us prepare our homestead to be a functional business, and also helping me with my services like homestead design. She helped me get the website started for that. It's TennesseeHomesteadDesign.com. We're still tweaking the website. But with her help, I've begun to get clients through that website, just really passively and hands off. And so Gabby can tell you more about her qualifications, but she definitely knows her stuff, and we're like really excited to transition this into the homestead world because I think our specialty is kind of focusing on making the homestead a viable business, not just your farm, but the entirety of your homestead and all the people in it and all the services they offer. So I'm just going to sit back and interject, drink a lot of coffee, and Gabby's going to lead the whole show here. So do ask her if you have any questions related to marketing your business products or getting a business started or anything like that.
Yeah, so today this live is just kind of intended to be a precursor to what we're going to be talking about at the Back to the Land Festival. So I'll be doing a sort of similar segment to this at the Back to the Land Festival, where it'll be a marketing Q&A, answering any of the questions that you guys have. And to be honest, I'm still learning what the specific challenges are for marketing in the homesteading and small farm industry. So this is definitely a new field for me, but I'll just kind of give you some background as to how I got into marketing and what I've done in the marketing field so far. So I originally went to college for journalism and just was totally captivated by the idea of storytelling, and specifically telling other people's stories. I find that really exciting, and it's kind of just what lights my passion up. And it kind of, journalism segued into, actually my first job in Nashville was working for a presentation design company. And so what I did was I took a bunch of like Word docs and just like random notes or previous presentations that companies or entrepreneurs who maybe were trying to pitch their business to some investors, or maybe it was like a healthcare company who was just creating a presentation for their employees. There were a lot of points to the presentations, but what I would do is I would create the copy that would go on the slides and then pass that on to a designer who would design them. So journalism kind of turned into, okay, how can I help companies and individuals tell their stories and get their ideas across to whoever their audience is. And then that transitioned into, while I was there, I started doing some marketing for that business in particular, not necessarily presentation wise, but I actually started getting into like, how can I get business leads to this business? And I just wanted to do that full time, and ended up working for a couple of different marketing agencies in Nashville, where I had clients ranging from small community banks to a pizza company to, I'm trying to think of all the different places. I've done some marketing for authors, and then now I kind of do that sort of full time. So I've done marketing for a lot of different industries, and I like to think I'm pretty versatile in that regard, because really when you're marketing in a new industry, you're just trying to understand that business, learn as much as you can, and be able to speak to those consumers in a way that is relevant. And so that's just kind of some background about what I've done and why I'm passionate about marketing. And I'm just really excited to tackle this new industry. And so last week, Matt put out a video kind of just soliciting some questions from you guys about what questions you have about marketing your own homestead products and your own homestead product services, or products and services. And I'm going to answer some of those questions in a second here. But I just want to kind of first point out the unique challenges that homesteaders and small farms deal with. So I know one of the questions we got was, should you or can you use the term organic if you're not, organically certified and stuff like that. So, or certified by any of the organic, USDA, or there's a couple other ones you can be certified through. And I think that points out one of the first unique challenges of this industry is that there are all of these kind of restrictions, and you do have to be well versed in the legal requirements about what you can and cannot say about your product based on how you grow it. So that right there is, first a really unique challenge that you have. And then also, I think one of the unique challenges of what we do and what you guys do is that there's just an irregular cadence in the availability of a product. So, you're only growing vegetables and honey really primarily in the spring and summer. And then you might be doing more canned products, baked goods, stuff like that in the winter. So there's an irregular cadence that we have to think about.
We can't take advantage of like what Walmart and all the grocery stores have all done, which is like you can get corn any time of year. You can get this product, all of the consumers in America, we've become so used to getting everything on demand, out of season on demand, whether that's products or, and most traditional marketing is built around that consistent model. So the farmer or a baker or somebody running a home business like that just doesn't have that luxury. If we're farming regeneratively, we are not going to have a lot of hot weather crops in the middle of the winter. So we need to market out and have a base of consumers who can fit that flexibility. Sorry.
Yeah. No. That's exactly what I was kind of thinking about, and just sort of treating every season like, the build up to each growing season, treating it like you would a marketing campaign, and really prepare people for like, hey, these particular products are only going to be available for a certain amount of time. And actually that's an element of marketing that really this group of people we should be leaning into is the scarcity of our model. That's actually a really, natural marketing tactic that is not just true. You don't have to fake your scarcity. It's true. And so I think that's something that I would encourage a lot of you guys to lean into in your messaging. But so that's one challenge. And then just a couple others, there's payment and delivery / distribution systems that are just more complex, especially when it's paired with maybe a lack of having a dedicated person who's kind of handling those, I know he hates like dealing with payment softwares and really? and we haven't even necessarily dove into, how would you deliver products, with someone ordering something from, Kentucky or something, and obviously not within driving distance. So how would you kind of create a model that is efficient yet also profitable too? So I think that's another unique challenge that we have. And then just social media and online censorship is just becoming more and more problematic. And
you can't even sell meat products on Facebook, period, or guns, or a lot of things related. And those groups are getting increasingly regulated because they have to be regulated in order to keep their group going. And so they're making the moderators act like your censorship, act as the censors for Facebook. And Facebook's right now pushing their model way more towards group. They're investing heavily in groups instead of your normal Facebook feed. So yeah, the ability to get any kind of self-sufficiency products through are pretty limited. And I've also been seeing a lot of YouTube channels. For example, Canadian Prepper is a really popular YouTube channel, and PayPal recently just cut him out completely. They shut his whole business down without any notice. He couldn't get to them. And he's not like me. He's not like outspoken in his beliefs. He's actually very moderate, very mild, even a little bit to the left-leaning side of things. And even just because he was selling self-sufficiency prepper products, not even guns, he got banned off Facebook. He got banned off of PayPal, I believe. So we all kind of face that attitude, that negative attitude towards what we're selling, which is often going to be meat products or anything normal related to living a healthy, normal life. because that's what the system is suppressing right now.
Yeah, so I think it's really just figuring out, maybe social media is not even what you're interested in being on, or getting clients that way, or getting customers that way. And so I'm really big into working with people, and like as far as trying to determine what marketing strategy works best for you. Yeah, there's best practices, and there's so much data out there that will tell you that 95% of people are on social media, you should be there. I could say that and try to sell someone social media marketing, but I'm not going to sell it to you if you're not interested in it, and it's not something you personally are going to invest time in. Then it's going to come across that way on social media, and it's not going to work the way it's intended. And again, this is not even probably, sometimes it might not even work for this industry, depending on how crazy things get. You could be censored, or your reach could just be
your ability
limited.
to access the internet could be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We recently, so that ever since they bombed Nashville and attacked the communication center there, the data center, which I don't know if there was any truth to the Dominion servers being stored there, but certainly AT&T was in that building.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since that bombing, boy, like across the board, not just AT&T, but AT&T's been very spotty. Gabby does not get that service out here anymore. But also people have really struggled to access the internet, including a winery near us.
Yeah.
They're a winery and a farm. And they recently, their internet completely just would not work. And they run their whole business based on that. They couldn't do business. They couldn't make social media posts. They couldn't email people. They couldn't schedule deliveries of the needed services and products that they needed to keep their business running. So we really have to think about that in rural areas. Basically the Agenda 21 ideology and 2030 ideology involves stopping commerce in rural areas. And so, of course, that's a bottleneck where they're going to shut us down, which is the internet. But that being said, Gabby and I are building an internet business right now. We still use the internet. It's a tool we see that may possibly go out of phase for us or become inaccessible to us. But for now, it's very useful. But we're also building up our base and transitioning it. We're bringing it to email, which is if we're locked out of email for a while, we can still go to a coffee shop or a library and access that and send out emails. So that's why we have the Sovereign Village Project email, and why our farm, Hollow Top Farms, is also building an email list. So we're still using the internet, but we're not relying on our instant access to it to maintain our social media. And then we're also building physical brick and mortar locations.
And having other backups too. Like you could be using an email software, but they can lock you out of their services too. So always make sure to have a
Gmail will probably censor at some point.
Yeah, Gmail, or even if you're using something like one of the, I do recommend automated email messaging systems,
but MailChimp, I believe, is censored people already.
So even MailChimp, it's great to use right now, but always have, and these are practices not even businesses I've worked with in the past are doing, because obviously
it's like fossil fuels.
Encounter the same.
It's like fossil fuels. Use them while we have them, but be using them to transition out ahead of the We're all going to transition out of all of this stuff probably. Yeah. But let's get the head start on that and use it as a tool to get to a more financially stable place.
And that's why one of my biggest, when I was reading through the comments on your video last week, most of the questions people typically have, I've noticed, and this is not just true of homesteaders and small farmers, it's true of anyone who doesn't necessarily have a background in marketing. It's just true of everyone who gets into this, because I think we're just so technologically inclined, and we just see that that's how the world runs now. So most of our questions are about what software should I use, what technology should I use, what tools are there out there that I can take advantage of to do marketing. And while those are all very relevant and totally needed questions, they're questions that need to be answered, and there are answers to them that will help you. Really, that's not marketing per se. Marketing is the messaging, it's the offer creation, it's how are you getting in front of your audience, and those do not always, it's not like you always need a tool to do that. I guess I just don't like when people think, oh, I need to pay a lot of money to even get into, to even market my business. And that's just not true. Especially if you're really focusing on your messaging, offer creation, and just audience reach. And so I do want to answer a few of the questions that we did get on your video because they were pretty good questions. One of them being, let me see who asked this one. Channel, Yep, It's True, or Yup, is it Yup or Yup with the U? Yup, It's True. They asked about the rules around using the term organic in your marketing material, which I know Matt and I have definitely researched that before. And so first off, when in our research we looked at, what does it mean to be organic? And so the definition we found was that it must not contain or have been produced using any synthetic growth hormones, synthetic ingredients, biotechnology, pesticides, antibiotics, or irradiation. So that's what it means around, the term organic means. And then really what we found, and I'll put some resources in the comments here of links that I personally looked at to kind of find all this stuff. But basically we found that if you sell, you have to be certified to say basically that you are certified organic. If you sell more than $5,000, right, in organic products per year, and that's your gross sales, or let's see, the handlers that sell more than 5,000 of organic processed food, and then processors that process more than 5,000.
So as far as a farm, essentially, if you are selling less than $5,000 in organic vegetables, you can still use the title organic, not certified organic, but who cares? You can use the title organic and still be accurate about it. And also think about what that 5,000 number means. For example, if you're selling, a bunch of nursery plants and you don't put the label organic on them, that does not count for $5,000. So specifically $5,000 from organic sales, you can make up to that much before you even have to think about getting a certification to call it organic. And at that point, you also have to remember, if you're selling vegetables, chances are a lot of that's in cash, or it should be in cash. You should be building around cash, untaxed models. And so if that's 5,000 trackable dollars if you're reading these. So, between things like Monero and Pirate Chain and those anonymous cryptocurrencies and good old fashioned cash, as long as it's around, you could be making, well, who knows how much you're actually making from your sales, but 5,000 trackable dollars and under, you can call your product organic if you're being honest, of course, and actually being organic, which you should be.
Yeah. And even
hello, cowboy conscious community. Sorry, it's good to see you in there.
But also you can use a different term than organic. I know.
Because for me, for my products, organic isn't good enough. That does not describe. You can still do organic agriculture and still desertify your land, and not have many organic farms are nowhere near being in harmony with nature. They're still destructive agriculture. So for me, I'm going to say regenerative.
Yeah,
like I'm regenerating the soil, I'm regenerating the land.
I know a guy who's usually on our chats here. I don't know if he's on there today, but Platos. I know I can never say it, but I know he commented on our video and said that him and his wife, they use the phrasing like how they use natural practices. So that's another option. You said beyond organic.
Yeah, that's I often do. It's like we're beyond organic. What we sell, this is a beyond organic.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just stopping at organic. We're also going much further and designing our farm around a permaculture perspective and principles. So, truly caring for the earth and all of these terms aside, we're going to be welcoming our customers to come onto our farm and see our operations. So it's like, what in the end, you use these titles for marketing, but in your conversations with people, you say, that's all kind of irrelevant. Come to my property, see me grow my food, meet me, meet the family that's providing this food. That's the kind of food safety we should actually be going back to, not USDA's version. Yeah,
and think of other product features that people might like. You can still say you're locally owned and operated. You can say you're family owned and operated.
Ben's got a great comment, and I love the new username, Ben the Peaceful Forage Garden Inhabitant. I just love that. Formerly Reliance on Trust. Great content on this channel, by the way, y'all. Organic crops can have all kinds of awful things. Regenerative is great. Also, no pesticides, no synthetics, etc. So that's a really good point, because just listing the specific things, like for example, no GMOs. I just made that video about how there's like contraceptives in corn.
Yeah.
So, to say no GMOs, everything else aside, if I see that label, I'm probably buying it. I'm desperate to find food with no GMOs. So yeah, like listing the specific things that you do or do not do. Those are all great marketing tools and great ways to describe your product. There's plastics he did make it in. He says he knows somebody that claimed above organic. So that's a fair term too. Above, beyond organic. Anyhow, Cowboy Conscious Community 4. I love that you're on your, I think, 4th channel now. Kudos to you for getting banned that many times. That means you're probably saying a lot of truth. I've seen some great content over his channel as well. So.
But also don't knock on the made in the USA branding. You
grown
can say
locally,
that too.
family grown.
Yeah, that's a huge.
The other day we were looking at some grapes and we saw that it was grower owned. The company that the grape, and that kind of reassured us that like, okay, at least the growers are directly involved in this company. They're not just a bunch of anonymous growers, selling their commodities at a set price. I always like to see that because it usually implies a closer relationship between the end product and the start of the product.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think we tackled that question. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
The other question, we just have, I think, one more here. Another question we got was, are there any resources for logo design and label making? So that was from NC Mountain Mama. And I just wanted to point out a couple that I really like. I was trained in journalism school around all the Adobe softwares like Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and all of that. But even that was more years ago than I want to say that was, but I even that was years ago, and I can still kind of make my way around it, but it's a lot more complex than I think most people need. And so there's this tool called Canva, Canva, and you can use it for free. You can pay like $12 a month to get some special features, but really all you need. Yeah, you haven't, and I rarely need it even for stuff I do for clients. Sometimes I do, but it's very rare. And so I've designed logos on there.
I've designed stuff on there and posters for my shows and music as well. It's really versatile. It's like Microsoft Paint meets free Photoshop or something. It's just a useful way to make posters, logos, any kind of online type content or printed stuff too.
Yeah.
So trying to make actual posters or anything.
Mm-hmm. And you can make social media posts and all sorts of things. So I would really, if you're pretty new to design and you don't have the funds to maybe pay someone else to do it for you, I would definitely look into Canva and try your hand at that. And then another tool that actually Matt and I used for the Back to the Land Festival, and we were trying to design a logo very quickly. We were in a time crunch, because we just kind of thought up this idea for the festival and just ran with it. And so we really needed a logo. And the idea of I've tried Fiverr before, and the idea of just having to go back and forth with a designer because we weren't happy with one thing or needed something tweaked or just not knowing if you would find someone who was reliable just was really daunting. And so I actually was just researching one day and I found that Fiverr actually has this tool where it's like Fiverr Logo Maker. And what you do is you just put in the name of your business, or in our case, the name of our event. You put in a couple, names of certain graphic elements you want included. So you could put, I want a carrot in my logo, or I want a shovel or grass or whatever. You can put I think up to 5 or even 10 in there. And then you have to answer some questions about if you want the logo to look more modern or more traditional, or just sophisticated or something else. You just answer all those questions about kind of the look and feel of what you want your logo to look like, and then it just spits out 20 different logos.
Yeah. And a lot of them are really good. I was really surprised that kind of an automated tool would have that many good options.
Yeah, I was surprised too. That's why usually you won't find something of that kind of professionalism, but there was so much. And then once you pick one, you can actually, edit some of it. So like we changed the font for our logo and changed some of the colors, and you can do all of that. And then if you pay like for the full package of what you get, in the full package, you'll get every sort of like sizing of the logo you could ever need. I believe you get also like the working files, which means if you wanted to, you could put it in Illustrator and have someone, edit it off based off of that. And you get like the transparent file, which means you can put it on, if you wanted to sell merch for your business, you could use that.
So everything you're going to need for like how roughly?
It was only $60. So yeah, and you could probably get less. Have someone on Fiverr actually design a more customized thing for you for a little bit less, but I don't know, the risk and variability of that, I think is not really worth it when you can just get something that quickly and it look that good. So that's also a resource I would use. And also with Canva, going back to Canva, you can also, they have some sort of deal with Shutterstock, I believe. So like if you wanted to, right after you design something, if you wanted to then print a poster, for example, you can print directly from there.
Oh, just get like mailed to you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. See, I didn't know that. That'd be really handy if you're trying to make posters or some kind of physical marketing.
So you can kind of do it all in one ecosystem, and
really just a few little tools like that, and you can be competing on the level of big brands, and those are just all free things that anybody could,
these are brands that.
So if you have a service that you're passionate about, like let's say you just love to tutor English, or you want to teach blacksmithing, or you have a product, you have farm products, or like anything can be a real either micro stream of income or a full-time income. Like just like we are in the most democratic age for starting businesses. Like anybody can access these tools for free. And even I'm not very technologically adept. I hate computers. I hate all of this stuff, and I can use these tools too. With a lot of help from Gabby. But anybody can access. So like really, like the barrier is so low to selling your own products and turning your homestead into a money
especially
machine.
Now these days. Yeah, like I think in the past it has probably been a huge barrier to people where you had to like hire someone, but now I think you could just
hire somebody in person. It was just like the startup costs were just so daunting.
Yeah.
Oh, Roy is in here. Hello, Roy. Roy is going to be at the festival. Actually, they're going to be Roy and Cindy and Matt. They're going to be speaking of services and products. They're going to be bringing everything from really cool heirloom seeds to handmade leatherwork stuff. And Cindy's going to have some demonstrations of how she does things like winter sewing and stuff at her table, which is really cool that we can have somebody who's doing like vending, but also teaching as well. So very excited about that. Good to see you in here, Roy. You're going to have to come see our new kitchen.
Yeah.
It's almost hooked up.
We have floors, Roy.
And a person, thank you very much, saying really appreciates the time and effort we put in. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget your coffee.
Oh, yes. We're drinking coffee at 5 p.m.
Yeah, we're through workday number 1. We're about to go out and do a bunch of planting. So did we get through all of the questions then?
Yes, we did.
Cool. So Gabby's going to be doing like a really in-depth presentation of more of this marketing stuff at the festival. I just think this is so crucial. I think every single homestead should be a business. And I think we should all be working to where our homestead is a full-time business. Like why do any of us need to work for anybody? Why don't we all just pick our trade that we really like to do, or a couple of things we really like to do, our services, and then find ways to take what comes off our land and process it, or make a jam or a jelly or whatever it is, or a hot sauce or whatever you can to increase the value, or set up that farm stand or that co-op or that online CSA or whatever it is. We can all do this and not have to work the grind, not have to have all, a quarter of our paycheck taken out for taxes or whatever else, and invest the money ourselves instead. It's such a superior way to live. And also you can be not driving to work. Right now I finally been able to cut back to about half as many shows as I was doing in Nashville, because that's my main source of revenue. And so I can dedicate the time towards building our income streams on this property. And so we're really, and this is outside the scope of the marketing, but like what your marketing is this, it's whatever your land can produce. And that could be food. That might mean that you're near a tourist destination, so you can put an Airbnb or a cabin up. It might be timber that comes off your land, or you might have a mill that you had used to build your house and you can make finished lumber and sell that. And then it's your passions. For me, I teach music and I play music. I can sell those services from my property. We're doing farm to table events, and we'll do lessons here. Gabby can do marketing consulting. She can do personal training from here. We can set up a home gym. So it's not just a farm. It's also all of the other interests you have. You build the business infrastructure for that.
Yeah. And maybe you do a more like creative thing. Like maybe you are a designer. Maybe you are you do websites, or, maybe you do IT. You can sell those services to other people. And this is something that you can still do from your home. It's not even necessarily just like a homestead or small farming thing. It's just, another sideline that
it's all a part of the homestead, and it always traditionally was. Like the mother was maybe really good at sewing in the past, and so she would sew extra clothes or do patchwork for people. It's just really whatever you do or whatever resources you have can be marketed, and anybody can market them using just those simple tools.
Yeah. And really, like, what I'm just definitely like one topic I for sure wanted to touch on today is I'm really kind of passionate about the messaging side of marketing. I know marketing gets a bad rap, and there are certainly many people in the marketing world who are very shady, and they're like, they're definitely the people you see on the YouTube ads
where winning gets Lamborghini, like, I made $20 million in 1 month, and you can too.
I've worked with people like that, and they're definitely out there. But what I prefer to see marketing as, and what I think it truly is storytelling. And so one of the things I wanted to just touch on is to kind of encourage anyone out there who's really struggling to figure out how to sell their product. I want you to just have like a messaging first mentality. Like, don't necessarily just jump in and try to like use tools that, might make you frustrated. Like, get excited about talking about your product, and get excited about testing different ways of talking about your product to people. So for example, we actually did have a question from Ethan Blevins, and he asked, I really like this question because it's kind of like a real practical example of what you guys might be dealing with right now. He said, how do people who are well-versed in wild foraging, plants, mushrooms, and also hunting advertise educational experiences for clients?
That's a cool service right there, because there's a lot of people like moving to Nashville who are, California or something, they're city people, but like might really want to hunt and might have a budget to learn. You could either say like, oh, how come you don't know that already? Or you could see that as a business opportunity and help them learn.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I've really learned, just over the past couple of years working for the company I work on now, is how important, like, really thinking about your customers' felt need is what we call it. What we call it in marketing. But basically what that means is, in this example, people don't want to learn how to forage. That's not really something people want to learn. People want to feel secure in their ability to find food wherever they are, or they want to show off to their friends while they're on a hike. They want to be like, oh, look, this is this, we can eat this.
So you're reaching for the root cause of really, it's not that they want to forage, it's that they want to know that they have the assurance they can find food, or they would like say, they want to.
Yeah. So that's just like, it's a way of like looking at your product in a different way, looking at your service in a different way, where it's not so focused on like, hey, it's me and I'm teaching people how to forage. Like, that's I
have another example of that.
Yeah.
So Gabby helped me. So when I'd been studying permaculture and decided I really wanted to do design. And we were trying to figure out what wording, what are people searching? What are people really looking for? And, permaculture design is basically what I'm doing, but we didn't think that that's what people were typing in, or that's what they were looking for. Everyone's moving to new properties and they're getting into this homesteading trend. And what they're looking for is, how do I design my homestead? And so we named the business Tennessee Homestead Design. So that's kind of an example that we thought about, like, really, and that gave us a good name too. And just that name has been getting us clients. It's been getting traffic from the.
Let me tell you,
we didn't even finish the website.
We didn't even really finish the website. Like, we just kind of did it in a week. No, I mean, probably not even that. And it's just, by virtue of the term
thinking
that
about what people, and really we thought about that name for this channel too. Sovereign Village Project was like, I knew that would ring.
Yeah, that was him.
Because we have Finding Country and we have some different brands, but I knew that that phrase, Sovereign Village Project, would ring a bell with people who are like, we need to go back to community-based living, but like in a way that's people have their sovereignty and recover that independence and that liberty, both as a community and as individuals, because so much of the intentional community movement is based on these ideals that are not rooted in reality. They're based on false understandings of human behavior, thinking that we can all just have nothing set up, we can just govern ourselves, and just so many times, like I'm very involved in intentional communities. I'm designing one right now, actually, one of my design clients, and there's such a high failure rate for intentional communities because they don't take a lot of them come from that left-leaning perspective that owning anything is wrong, but somebody's going to own everything. So Sovereign Village Project attracted the people who come to this channel who understand the value of community, but understand that people need to own their land and be sovereign and be independent and be able to practice their agriculture and their lifestyle freely.
Yeah.
So that's just a couple more examples.
Yeah, and just even another one, like if you're just thinking about, maybe you specialize in tomatoes, like just tomatoes, nothing special about them, just tomatoes. I just want you to think about how, like, you're not selling tomatoes, right? You're selling the opportunity to make grandma's special pasta sauce, like you're selling the story of the tomatoes, basically. Like, where are they traveling? Where are they going? What are they going to end up in? And that could be even a regional thing. Maybe there's a dish in your, like for us here, in the South, turnip greens are really popular. So, but I've never seen anyone at the farmer's market, tell me anything about how this would be great for turnip greens for, whatever your, maybe your family gathering, we always have family gatherings. And so I think just thinking about that, thinking about your messaging and really just kind of taking that extra step there.
Got some cool comments.
Yeah.
A local herb company, says Passos, hosts an annual herb walk to teach identification use. Yeah, that's really cool. Those and so many businesses are just starting to, like, I'm seeing it's such a dynamic field. There's so much of this opening up because a large percentage of the world, as everything goes to this dystopian totalitarian model, most everyone's going along with it, but it's not an insignificant movement away from it. A lot of people from all walks of life and all perspectives are wanting to go back to a more self-sufficient, sustainable, regenerative kind of lifestyle. And that's opportunity. And why not capitalize on, like, if things are kind of collapsing, then we should all be moving into businesses and industries that are going to not just survive, but thrive in collapse. And so for us, growing food, teaching self-sufficiency, those kinds of things, those are all going to increase in market share. They're going to increase in value. People are really going to want these things. Homestead design, having properties designed to be self-sufficient. The worse things get, in good times, there's plenty of demand, but the worse things get, the more people will want those services. So those things are always great. A person says, exactly why I'm a subscriber. We got to learn from history, not just build a community based on fantasy utopia. Yes, exactly. We need to take the fact that humans have evil in them into consideration. And also that humans are not perfect and will spend way more time and energy and care more about things that they own or that their children are going to inherit. Ownership is not bad. That's a myth created by the Marxists, and the Marxists, there's still ownership in a Marxist system. You know how much the Castro family is worth? Like, I think last I checked, Castro at his death was worth about $100 million. They still own everything. We can see as everything moves to this technocratic model and the Fed cronies sweep in, like, was it BlackRock or Blackstone, that investment firm? They sweep in with this fake printed money after they've devalued your money and stopped you from being able to pay your bills, locked down your businesses, killed off all the small landlords with the eviction moratorium. After they bankrupt everybody, they sweep in with fake money and they buy up everything, and then they're going to rent it back to us after we sign on the dotted line to their neo-Marxist system. So we went off on a bit of a tangent there, but where was it going with that? Oh yeah, so the idea of not owning stuff comes from them, and that's what so many of these intentional communities are built on. Is this, like, let's all, now that doesn't mean that you can't do community owned things,
Mhm.
community owned farm stand, like a church is community owned. It's just members of the community sitting on the board. Community garden is community owned. We have a community center down the road. It's just members of the community run it. So there can be common areas, and there always will be. Every road that existed even before there was any noticeable government was still a common area. So common areas can exist, but private property ownership in some form, even if it's like a 100-year lease or something, needs to exist for a community to work.
And I think it makes sense for, I've often wondered why more homesteaders and small farmers do not do more things like, kind of leveraging the strengths of each other's land, and bundle products a lot more. Like I've never.
And we're actually working with several members of the larger community on that specifically. One thing we're working on is a co-op to where we can just grow. Let's say we're only really getting enough surplus to fill up like 1/4 of what a regular farm stand needs. But we have 4 or 5 other people doing it with us, and we can collectively share tools and share product to make a really good busy farm stand or a CSA. And we're working with our neighbor on some stuff too, and we trade tools back and forth and expertise. We're getting to the point where we're talking to a lot of neighbors who have a lot of specific skills like carpentry or whatever. And Gabby has the marketing skills, so she can partner with them, and they can build the product, but they could never sell it, and they never did. They had all these talents, but they weren't using them. Yeah. Gabby can bring her expertise to the field, help them set up a website, help them sell that product, and we've exchanged our service, and they give us their product or use their tools. Sometimes there's not even money involved in the transaction. It's just we're just making our neighbors stronger, and they're making us stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Plaza says a story is very often effective at selling product. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a country musician, that's really what we do. We create stories, and mm-hmm. even though your artist image is a story, when you look at Merle Haggard, the story of him going to jail, and you're like, yeah, I want to hear those stories. Those songs have so much more meaning now. Like nothing sells like a good story. Yeah. And of course, the people that misuse that also sell us stories. The media sells you stories and sob stories. This whole COVID narrative was all built on, you can sell anything with a sob story or a good story.
Yeah. I mean, even just like, in my job selling books, that's not necessarily a nefarious thing.
Yeah.
But just like some insight into, there are all of these different ways that we're marketing, where we have email marketing, we have social media, we have, just our website, just basically on our website marketing. And each one of those different facets, we have search marketing, each one of those different facets of marketing, like we're constantly A/B testing is what it's called, but we're basically experimenting and testing, one phrase against another phrase and seeing if more people click a button to buy based on that one phrase. And you would be shocked to see like how different the results really are, like how one phrase really does get 10% more, clicks. And I think that just goes to show that this stuff really does matter, that the stories do matter, and the way you tell them matters. And that if one way that you're talking about your product is not hitting and it's just not working, there are literally myriads of other ways you could try, and they will, something will work. Sometimes you just have to keep throwing things at the wall.
Even if you've ever bought a shed from the Mennonites or Amish, even just when it says Amish built, that's kind of a story, because you have a mental picture of what the person that built that looked like, and you have a stereotype of them being good workers and making quality products and being people who are living this kind of idyllic life. That story sells. When they sell their furniture and stuff like that, people like to picture it being built by an Amish person. That's kind of like, even though there's no direct story told there, even just in the name, there's kind of a story implied. And I thought of another great example of somebody who uses a story to sell the product. We have a local woodworker who
yes.
He tears down old.
His product is the story.
Yeah, his product is the story. He tears down old barns, and he saves the wood, and he gives it another life in the form of furniture, tables, cabinets, and like really nice high-end furniture.
Frames,
and he actually includes the story and the picture of the barn on the furniture. So somebody comes in and they see the table and it's just beautiful and well done, but they also get to know the story, and they get to take that little plaque home and they can hang that above that table, or just tell their friends like, yeah, this came from an 1840s barn that was built by hand-hewn old growth timber. You know, it's really, he tells the story. He ended up even writing a book about all of this.
Like a fiction book where each of the...
What's the name of the book? So we can give them a plug.
Barnwood Creations.
Barnwood Creations.
Oh, no. That's the name of his business.
Barnwood
You're right.
Speaks.
It is Barnwood Speaks.
By
Dale Wayne Etheridge.
Yeah, really
You should
cool.
really read it. It's actually very good. It's very good.
But anyway, yeah, the product is the story, and they can't keep up. Like, and he's just working from home. They built a nice workshop. He's retired, but not really. You know how that goes. And just selling the crap out of this product at just great prices, and he gets it for very cheap. He just has to have the ability to harvest it. So yeah, the story is really everything in the product, because that's what we're going back to. We're going back. People are longing for humanity again already. And as we enter this dystopian age and this technological age, people are wanting humanity. They're wanting organicness, and that's what we can sell, is like a dose of reality and a dose of humanness to our products. And like when I buy a tomato or food, if I know who grew that, it tastes better to me. You know, that placebo effect definitely kicks in, and it probably does taste better. But like, I just love knowing the story behind something. I love a handcrafted product. I love meeting the person that I'm buying from.
Yeah. So I mean, this was just kind of my stab in the dark at what this particular community is struggling with right now in terms of marketing or promoting, or
and hopefully this
even developing. Yeah. And just so you know, like, marketing isn't just about getting people to buy necessarily. There's several different steps in a funnel, you know, in a marketing funnel, and sometimes you just want to get people interested in you, interested in your business. And there are separate ways you can do that without actually having a product to sell. And that's something I can go over at a different time. I know we only have a few more minutes here, but
and if you see this video too late, still ask questions, and Gabby can bring those to the festival or in a later video, because we'll try to make some content out of that too, and still bring those answers to the whole crowd.
Because I really, you know, there are. I didn't even mention that one of the industries that I worked with pretty extensively for marketing was they were limo operators. So, you know, people who like rent out limos for prom and other, you know, fancy events, or just like a fancy date night or something. And I see a lot of similarities, oddly enough, in the challenges in that industry versus this one. And a lot of it kind of boils down to, you know, oftentimes there's very thin margins. There are also businesses that are typically quite small and don't have a lot of employees. And so usually the person running them is the one doing the marketing and doing all of these other things. And so, you know, the marketing you're going to be doing is a lot different, most likely, than what even I'm doing, you know, working for a big publishing company, or that McDonald's is doing, or whatever. Like it's going to be different. And so I just want to kind of stress that just because you may not have a lot of money to run paid ads, there's a much bigger world to marketing than that. And so I guess just if you have any questions, please ask them, because I would love to know. I'm just more interested from I guess just like a professional growth standpoint.
Yeah, Gabby's going into the business of homes. We're really specializing.
And obviously we're running into
your challenges, the better.
Yeah, and obviously we're running into these challenges too ourselves.
So we're figuring it all out on the fly.
So we're figuring out like what our challenges are, and I'm gonna be creating content around that and figuring out like how are we, you know, selling to our own local area? How are we broadening our brand large enough to actually sell, you know, nationally and or regionally at least? And so we're going to be dealing with those same challenges as well. But I'd love to get kind of a head start on that by kind of sourcing any insights from what you guys are all doing. So.
Well, I feel like that was we answered a lot of questions. That's kind of coming to a natural end, about 15 minutes from the hour. So that feels about right. Plus, also says about gaining trust and developing long-term clientele. Yeah,
exactly.
Why go chasing customers again when you can just make a customer and build a relationship for the rest of your life? And that also kind of encourages you to have integrity in your transactions. And that's the business model that we are going to go back to. The dishonest people, we've dealt with so many in the build of this house, and dealt with some wonderful people. And a lot of the people who are like the contractors and stuff who are being dishonest or just treating their customers like garbage, they're riding this wave of a housing bubble right now. When that comes crashing down, they're not going to have relationships to fall back on because they were being so sleazy and they thought that those good times would last forever. Whereas when we build a relationship, or some of the great people we've worked with, we will always work with them anytime we get the opportunity. They're always going to be our first call. So those long-term relationships really matter. And it's also just like so much more efficient to keep a relationship and keep selling something to somebody rather than to have to go out and run another ad and find another client. Just keep selling to the same person, buy from them, get that circle going. And especially at a community level, it's such a better way to do commerce. And it builds an actual real economy, not the fake replacement for an economy that we have right now. All right, anything more?
I don't know, I think.
All right, well, everybody, thank you so much for taking part. If you do have more questions, Stephanie Joe just came in. Yeah, we're signing out, Stephanie. But if you do have any more homesteading marketing questions, just ask them with Gabby. We'll answer them in the comments.
Yeah, and if you're coming to the festival, so the Back to the Land Festival, you can still get tickets. We're about 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
Rough roundabouts.
And there's so many people from this channel coming. I'm so excited to meet everybody. I still have emails to catch up on for folks that are coming, so I will definitely do my best to get back to those ASAP.
Yeah, but hopefully there I can actually like talk one-on-one. And really my favorite part about marketing is honestly just figuring out people's like very specific, situations and what they're really dealing with, and being able to like talk one-on-one and give you like real suggestions that
you can exploit that. And so even if you could only make one day at the festival, you can trap Gabby any one of those days and just grill her for like 20 minutes with all of your questions. And like, if you think about it, that's cheaper than a consulting session or anything like that. And you could really walk away with a plan how to build a business from your homestead. I tap into Gabby's expertise every day. Yeah. I know we said this at the beginning, but like the fact that she's done so many different types of industries within marketing, and because she's a writer and cares so much about the story, it's transitioning really well into the homestead farm marketing idea. And again, I truly believe that this is relevant to every single one of us. Every single human being should go start a homestead and become self-employed. And that means marketing whatever services and whatever goods come off of your land. Like, we can all do this. It's accessible to anybody. And it's a fun, dynamic way to live life. And, imagine like your job is at your home. You don't have to leave anymore. Like, it's kind of like we could all just retire, but not really. But, you work all day, but you do what you love, and you do it from home, and you're there with your kids and with your animals.
And you have control over it.
You have control over it and sovereignty. Nobody's locking you down. Like that was my big wake-up call, was when they locked down my entire industry for a year. I said, never again. I'm not depending on anybody else for my income ever again, because those bar owners, I expected that from the government, but I didn't expect the bar owners to all go along with the lockdowns. And the fact that they did was really disappointing to me, because I would not, had that been my business, I would not have locked down. I would have stood up. So attaining that sovereignty in our businesses is crucial. And the key to getting there is marketing and figuring out your products and all that. So tap into Gabby's knowledge whenever you can. She's very smart about all that stuff. We plant, he grows, says, I love that name. Love you all, and all glory to Jesus. Appreciate that. We plant, he grows. Love that title. That's true. That's how a garden works. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us, and see you in more videos soon. We'll see what next week's topic is. Hopefully we're not too busy for that one. There may be some time changes for Community Hour, because I've shifted my gig schedule a little bit, and I'm not generally going to be free on Sundays, but I think next Sunday we'll still do the same time, same place. So we'll see y'all then. Great seeing you, A person. Thanks. Man, everyone has great channel names today. All right, y'all. Hope you get out and enjoy the last of this very nice Sunday. Everyone, in the meantime, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.